But before we get started, I want you guys to think about and share with your table, what was your favorite book in middle school? What was the book that really had an impact and that you still remember reading today, and why?
Oh, you were thinking, or were you thinking? So 6th grade we had to read Black Boy. I guess I was more interested because he was like in Memphis, and I was in Memphis. But just like the things he went through, and like I still have like under my bed. So it's like a connection there. Jasper, my bad. I'm sorry, Jocelyn Coleman. I think these are good reading. Oh, you're right, girl. Reading is fundamental, and I'm a reading teacher too.
Mine was Ella Enchanted. I read it 600 times. It was like my first fantasy.
All right, coming back together.
Because I love this.
Did anybody hear one that they were like, oh my god, I love that book? I know I walked by 2nd grade, they were talking about holes.
I'm running out.
Ooh. Loved that book. Anybody else hear a really good one that reminded you of your 5th and 6th grade awkward prepubescent years? No? All right, so I am Katie Hurley. I have been at KCCP for 7 years. It's my 9th year in the classroom, 7 at KCCP. Lauren wanted me to put up data and the story of my kids. I think for the purposes of today, knowing that I am a Wheatley enthusiast, I'm going to tell a different story about myself. So I started at KCCP in kindergarten, and these are some of my babies. We were learning about the medieval times, so these were our jester hats, a little 7th grade connection to medieval times. But I got the call to move up to 5th grade, and I was really stressed out about it. I've never taught kids who are taller than me. I don't know how that's gonna go. But what really got me through the decision to shift is that these are my babies in kindergarten, and as of August 6th, they are looping back, and these will be my kids in 5th grade. So we're gonna really close the loop for them at KCCP, and I am really excited about it. So as I dive into this work, again, I'm a teacher. I'm in the trenches with you guys. I do this work every single day. And for me, this is what keeps me going. So I know all the pictures that Lauren painted yesterday are also incredibly important, but for me, this is the heart of what keeps me here every single day. So yesterday, we really reflected on our vision and really grappled with the fact that our job is a matter of equity and social justice, and we really then we dove into our standards so that we would be ready for Module 1, and then we finally practiced our DDI protocol so that we can grow our kids as fast as possible. A couple of housekeeping things for the 22 people out of 50 who filled out their exit ticket. There will be breaks today. Yesterday, Lauren, not me, Lauren prioritized a 3rd practice of our protocol so that we would be ready. Today we're going to prioritize our sanity and make sure that there are breaks.
Yeah, I like you already.
Secondly, today is the day for the couple people who asked about it that we're going to dive into the lesson plans themselves. We're going to really talk about the cycle and the pieces of your reading lesson that you're going to see and execute every single day. And for those of us who were confused yesterday as we dove into our standards, all grades that we're talking about have 10 RL standards and 10 RI standards. And what that simply means is literary standards versus informational standards. So as you're questioning those things, or if you have questions, one great thing about it is if you're struggling with, say, 5.5, you can actually go to 4th grade, 4.5, and understand what kids should be coming to you understanding, knowing that that may not be our reality, but being able to figure out those holes through that. And then you can also go to 6.5 and see what your kids are going to be expected to do when they leave your classroom the next year. And that happens for all grade levels. They're very aligned. So that is a resource that you can find Common Core online, but just for those of us that were confused as we were throwing up 20 acronyms that mean different things. So that's RI and RL. So today, we are going to experience a model lesson plan by yours truly. And then we're going to dive into our week at a glance. I'll be referring to it as a WAG from now on. There's another 3-letter acronym. You have to remember what it means. And then after lunch, we're going to dive into prepping our exemplars for a focus lesson of week 1. So actually walking away with something that we know we're going to teach in the first week of school. Hopefully check off something you're stressed about. And finally, everybody's favorite, we're going to do teach backs. We're going to do a lot of them. And we're going to do them public practice. Woo! They say we don't practice on our kids, so instead, I'm going to practice this model lesson in front of you guys. So, great. Stevie, since you're really excited, can you sum up and read our objectives today?
Teachers will be able to experience a model reading lesson. Teachers will be able to internalize the close reading lesson cycle. Teachers will be able to complete the week at a glance for reading lessons.
All right. So, again, before we really dive into the heavy nitty-gritty stuff, on your first page of our handout is our ELA vision. I want you to, like always, we ground ourselves in this vision. I want you to reread it and silently reflect on what your classroom is going to look like, sound like, and feel like if you realize this vision in your class. If this vision is coming to life and you're doing what you want to do, what will your classroom look like, sound like, feel like? Take about 20 seconds to wrap up your thinking before you share with your partner. All right, now as you share with your partner, I really want you to actually be listening to what your partner says, and I'm gonna call on somebody to share what their partner says. I'm really looking for the answer that kind of got you a little bit, the misty-eyed feeling. So listen to that vision from your partner and be prepared to share what your partner thinks. Go ahead and share.
I'm sorry. Want to start? I can. Go for it.
I think the part where it's liberating us dependence on received wisdom and allows us to find and weigh the evidence ourselves. I think what I would want this to look like is raise kids who are comfortable taking risks with their answers and comfortable not being correct, and then other students who are willing to challenge each other on their responses and push each other's thinking and not just coming from the teacher.
So for me, I think so much.
If you haven't switched, go ahead and switch.
Just to hold on. I mean, I think, like I said, our job is to not just expose them; it's also to teach them how to think, how to love reading, and how to speak confidently and very clearly. Because if we aren't teaching our kids to actually be free from us,
Is there a specific part? We find joy in reading
on finding their own voice.
I pretty much feel not only being welcoming, but them actually engaging with the text, and not just text that are culturally relevant to them, but them being able to explore other cultures and have their discourse about it.
I mean, honestly, the teachers.
I guess similar to
I'll never
kind of what I say yesterday,
again, but we're
understand other cultures because most of them aren't exposed to it, so their exposure is through their reading. So allow them to be in the freedom
We're gonna
of
track
the world.
Jocelyn. She's over here at the 5th grade table. Woo! And I heard her do some passion snacks, so I want to hear what drove her to the snack.
Thank you. So my teammates said that it was important for students to not only be in the classroom and be engaged with, it's important for them to understand and actually love reading, because I know sometimes it can be a bit mundane. It's like, oh, I hate going to reading class, I don't feel like reading. And the reality is, like, literacy is their freedom. So them not just coming to class, but them actually loving to read and being a part of it, and them being able to grapple with the text but enjoy doing it, and pushing each other's thinking, and not just the teachers being there to facilitate, but actually students into learning.
Anybody else hear one that just tugged at their heartstrings? They're like, I want my class to feel like that too. Okay, so that's actually a technique that I use a lot in my classroom, is the idea of them sharing what their partner said, just as a teacher tool. It's definitely a way that I make sure they're listening to one another. So often we can't get outside of thinking what we want to say, even when somebody else is speaking to us. So putting that layer of accountability is just something to think about. All right, again, we're about to dive in, I promise. Here are our core beliefs. Again, from Lauren's lens, we talked about how important they are. For me as a teacher, when I think about these, what it really drives me to think about is the decisions that we make every day. As teachers, we are actually, there's research around the fact that we are one of the professions that makes the most decisions in a single day than any other profession in the world. We're up there in that top list. So obviously these core beliefs aren't going to be able to drive every decision that you make, but when it comes to really thinking about big decisions about curriculum, before you're ready to completely change the student materials, or before you're really ready to be like, this kid needs intervention, before they can sit in on this conversation, just make sure that you're using these beliefs to help you guide those decisions. So for me, that's how these become usable to me. All right, we're about to see a reading lesson, 5th grade reading lesson, and these are the pieces. We're gonna dive into these after the lesson, but these are the pieces of a Wheatley reading lesson. Most important thing I think you take away as you're listening to the lesson and participating in the lesson, please, is that there's always a hook. There are always 2 reads of the text. We know that repeated read is really important for kids and their comprehension. And we do not stamp the skill and focus standard until after they've read for the first time to start making their own meaning around the text. So make sure you're watching for that. We're gonna see 5th grade. Again, this is I would say less like model and more like, I don't know, we'll see. Lesson, I don't know if that's a technical term. So it is RL 5.5. It is talking about structure. And just for some context, when you're talking about structure in literacy, it can be as a literacy standard, it can be really confusing for kids, because in informational texts, it's very cut and dry. It's very, did this text use compare and contrast to build meaning? That is the structure of the text. Did this text use problem and solution? In literary standards, it's much more broad. And in 5th grade, it's really this idea of how the pieces of the text fit together to make meaning for the kids. In 6th grade, they're gonna be asked how those pieces come together to add to the theme and the author's real point of view about whatever it is that they're writing about. In 5th grade, that standard stops at the idea of how these pieces all fit together to make something that makes sense and fits together. So when you hear that word structure, just know that that's what we're talking about today. So to prepare yourself for today's lesson as my students, in your other folder, some are red, some are yellow, there are 2 things. There's a copy of the text that you're going to need, and there are your student materials. You guys might get a short one, so let me know.
That's texting. That's student materials.
How's everybody feeling? Check. 15 minutes in. We're good? Okay. When you have both materials, can you just raise your hand so I can see when we're all ready? Your hand, Ari. Okay, waiting on a few more people. Does anybody short one? Everybody good? All right, so as a teacher, I use a couple attention getters, I know, but I'm gonna force you guys to do it in a little while too, so I gotta do it too. One of mine is I do on 5 on 4 on 3 on 2 on 1, and I do it twice. First time to just get their attention, stop what you're doing. Second time, eyes on me. So you'll hear me do that. I also will do it, if you can hear my voice, clap once. All the kind of normal teacher moves. If you can hear my voice, hands in the air. So just pretend you're students in the same way that I'm gonna also pretend you're 10, and I apologize ahead of time. All right. Good morning, Tigers. Today, we are going to continue reading our text, The Crossover, and I am so excited to continue reading this amazing text. This section of the text is going to introduce us to Josh's twin brother. I want you to take 3 minutes to complete your do now. I want you to think about, what do you think it would be like to be a twin? Or is it like if you are a twin? With any extra time you have, I want you to tell me a little something about one of your siblings. Take 3 minutes to silently complete this reflection. About 90 seconds left. Down in 3, pencils down in 2, pencils down in 1, on 5 on 4 on 3 on 2 on 1, on 5 on 4 on 3 on 2 on 1. 7th grade's tracking me, 8th grade's tracking me, thank you. All right, really quick, we're gonna use our answers to play a quick stand-up game. I want you to stand up if you have siblings. All right, take a seat, sit down if you're an only child. Oh, take a seat. Stand up if you have a sibling who just drives you crazy. Yeah. Take a seat. Stand up if you have a sibling that's like your best friend. Take a seat. For our only child out there, stand up if you have a cousin who's like your best friend. I love them too. All right, last one. Stand up if you think it would be really annoying to have a twin. You kind of can't get rid of them. Yeah. Take a seat. And stand up if you think it would be amazing to have a twin. Built-in best friend, right? All right. Take a seat. All right. As we read our text today, I want you to think about what kind of siblings Josh and JD are. Are they that sister you have that just drives you nuts, or are they the best friends and the lucky twins who have that built-in best friend? All right. We are going to do the first read. Today, as we begin the text, I'm going to read to you. So if you could open your student materials to your textbook to page 11. We're going to start with the poem Jordan Bell. It should be on the second page. All right. Remember, when we read for Just Enjoy, you are simply reading to figure out what this text is mostly about. What characters do we meet in this part? What do we learn about them? What is literally going on in these 10 pages of our text? All right, follow along. Jordan Bell. My twin brother is a baller. The only thing he loves more than basketball is betting. If it's 90 degrees outside and the sky is cloudless, he will bet you it's going to rain. It's annoying. And sometimes funny. Josh insists that everyone call him JB. His favorite player is Michael Jordan, but he doesn't want people to think he's sweating him, even though he is. Evidence. He has one pair of Air Jordan sneakers for every month of the year, including Air Jordan 1 Low Barack Obama limited edition, which he never wears. Plus, he has MJ sheets, pillowcases, slippers, socks, underwear, notebooks, pencils, cups, hats, wristbands, and sunglasses. With the $50 he won from a bet he and Dad made over whether the Krispy Kreme hot sign was on, it wasn't, he purchased a Michael Jordan toothbrush, only used once, on eBay. He's right. He's not sweating him. He's stalking him. On the way to the game, I'm banished to the back seat with JB, who only stops playing with my locks when I slap him across his bald head with my jock strap. 5 reasons I have locks. 5. Some of my favorite rappers have them. Lil Wayne, 2 Chainz, and Wale. 4. They make me feel like a king. 3. No one else on the team has them. And 2, it helps people know that I'm me and not JB. But mostly because, 1, ever since I watched the clip of Dad posterizing that 7-foot Croatian center on ESPN Best Dunks Ever, soaring through the air, his long twisted hair like wings, carrying him above the rim. I knew one day I'd need my own wings to fly. I'm gonna stop right here, and I want you to turn to a partner. What surprises you about the way these poems sound? I know that I grew up reading poetry, and I've heard some of my favorite poetry. What surprises you about how I'm reading these poems? Talk to your partner.
Yeah, it sounds more story-like. There's hardly any rhyme there.
I'm 5 on 4 on 3 on 2 on 1. I'm 5 on 4 on 3 on 2 on 1. Track Ari, who we're going to remember is 10 years old. Ari, what surprised you about the way we read these poems?
Most poems that I'm used to reading have rhymes or they go in a particular pattern. This seems more narrative. Or I'm 10. This seems more like a story.
Seems and sounds wrong. I know, I heard people like, well, it didn't really surprise me at all. I'm like, and we're 10. They don't rhyme. Right, they don't rhyme. They don't have that normal rhythm and beat always. Sometimes he uses it and uses it intentionally. And I think the one really smart thing I heard Ari say is that these are built to sound like a story. They continue one on top of each other and are telling us a story. All right, I'm gonna keep reading. Yay. Mom tells Dad that he has to sit in the top row of the bleachers during the games. You're too confrontational, she says. Phil, don't forget to follow through on your jump shot, Dad told me. JP tells Mom, we're almost in high school, so no hugs before the game, please. Dad says, you boys ought to treasure your mother's love. My mom was like gold to me. Yeah, but your mom didn't come to all of your games, JB said. And she wasn't the assistant principal either, I add. Conversation. Dad, do you miss playing basketball? I ask. Like jazz misses Dizzy, he says. Huh? Like hip-hop misses Tupac, filthy, he says. Oh, but you're still young. You could probably still play, right? My playing days are over, son. My job now is to take care of this family. Don't you get bored just sitting around the house all day? You could get a job or something. Finley, what's all this talk about a job? You don't think your old man knows how to handle his business? Boy, I saved my basketball money. This family is fine. Yeah, I miss basketball a lot. And I do have some feelers out there about coaching. But honestly, right now, I'm fine coaching this family. And keeping up with you and your brother. Now go get JB so we won't be late to the game and coach benches you. Why don't you ever wear your championship ring? Is this Jeopardy or something? What's with the questions? Yeah, I wear it when I want to floss. Dad smiles. Can I wear it to school one day? Once? Can you bounce a ball off the roof off of a tree and into the hoop? No. Then I guess you're not Demand, and only Demand wears the ring. Aw. Come on, Dad. Tell you what, you bring home the trophy this year, and we'll see. Thanks, Dad. You know, if you get bored, you could always write a book, like Bondi's mom did. She wrote one about spaceships. A book? What would you have me write about? Maybe make a book of those rules you give me and JB before each of our basketball games. I'm Demand by Chuck Bell. Dad laughs. That's lame, Dad, I say. Who you calling lame? Dad says, headlocking me. Dad, tell me again why they called you Demand. Phil, back in the day, I was the boss. Never lost. I had the sickest double cross. And I kissed so many pretty ladies, they called me lip gloss. Oh, really? Mom says, sneaking up on us like she always does, seems to do. Yeah, you Demand, Dad, I laugh. Then throw my gym bag in the trunk. Basketball rule number 1. In this game of life, your family is the court, and the ball is your heart. No matter how good you are, no matter how down you get, always leave your heart on the court. All right, I want you to take 3 minutes on your handout now to write about what these pages were mostly about. Remember, when we write our gists, we're really thinking about the who's, the what's, the where's, the when's, the why's, those 5 W's. What literally is happening in this text? Go.